We are talking pork, high off the hog.
A pig product of some type.
Bring home the bacon. We want to talk just a little bit to maybe the small upcoming farmer, homesteader, hobby farmer, prepsteader, however you want to define yourself. We're going to talk about pigs, whether or not they're a good fit for you. Pause on that for just a second, because we're not dealing with the moral or ethical or you don't like pork because this or the Bible. Here's the thing. That's not this conversation. No. So please keep that out of the comments section, because that's counterproductive.
Right.
This is for those people who feel like it's not a problem. And then there you go, because it's really not a good place to make your soapbox anyway.
Right. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
And so if we see them, we're just going to block the comment anyway. That said, let's talk about piggies, because we have had pigs for
several years.
Several years now, probably 8.
Yeah, on and off, yeah.
Yeah, and we've had some great successes and some things that we would never do again.
No.
Let's start by talking about what do you need in terms of the logistics of keeping a pig, like a living space. What is it that you need? You
need strong fencing, and you need electric. Because
both.
Pigs will root and dig under the fence, so you need at least a fence, a border, and then electric running on the inside so that they don't go underneath it.
I have seen people that are successful with electric only.
Yeah.
However, some of them are not exactly just running the regular shocker. Might just be, car battery kind of thing. But that's not us.
No.
Not us.
No.
But and if you also get them when they're little and they recognize those barriers, they won't test them as much.
No.
But electric is highly recommended.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They need a sort of shelter, something to get out of the sun. The lighter colored pigs burn easily, so they need something to get out of the sun if you keep them outside.
Yeah, believe it or not, they get sunburn.
Yeah, they really do.
And also something high up so that they can stay dry in the weather, obviously. But it doesn't have to be Shangri-La for the piggies.
Nope, just a small little shelter.
Yeah, we've seen everything. I've seen guys using like big kind of culvert-looking pieces of, cement. I've seen people using like just a 3-sided shelter that's only 3 feet high and big enough for the pigs to get in and out of the weather. And
yeah, we've seen calf hutches.
Yeah,
those work great.
I've seen people use old broken down trailers.
Mm-hmm. Dog kennels.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's really not the important thing is that you're giving them a dry place that they can get up out of the weather and and away from the sun too if they want.
Yep.
In terms of the size of the shelter the size of the pen that you're going to have, depends on the amount of pigs you're going to get and what the breed is. We're not going to go over those specifics because your specific might be like, oh, I want Tamworth hogs or I want these kind of hogs. Well,
right.
They're going to have different needs.
Right.
So that you're going to have to do some research on. We wanted to really kind of just dial in what it would be like for us to move to step 2. Like, did we get past all these things and we're like, yep, check, I can do this. So the next thing, I would just recommend that if you've got a pig, first of all, a pig, okay. 2 pigs is better.
Yeah.
And the reason why?
They get lonely.
Yeah.
They're honestly, pigs are a really sweet creature if you treat them right. They can be real lovey-dovey, and you can come and scratch them on their back, and our pigs absolutely love that. Chin. Oh yeah. But yeah, they really need to have a companion, another pig with them.
And if you don't, you're going to pay the price, because that means they're going to even more look for ways outside the fence. They're curious. They're actually very smart animals.
Yes.
And they know they know their pen very well, and whenever they're happy, they'll stay there. And if they're not, trust me, you're going to be chasing them down. And yeah, we know this from experience.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
But just make sure that you're giving them enough room. I would say the bare minimum space that I would give a single pig would be like 14 18 feet by 18 feet, would you say?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Minimum.
Yeah, minimum.
I would recommend 20, 25 by 25.
Yeah, I've seen a pen where this farmer keeps probably 5 or 6 pigs in it, and it's about 50 feet long by 25 feet deep.
But that's massive.
That's massive,
Yeah.
But he's got 2 strands of electric around there, and these pigs I've never seen. Well, I don't drive there. I'm not over there all the time, but I've never seen any escape. And
who are you talking about? Somebody you know?
No, just a farmer on M.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's one of the keys to keeping pigs. The happier that you can keep them, the less work it's going to be for you.
Oh, yeah.
If you spend the time up front getting their enclosure where it's like pig coop knocks, then
Exactly.
you're going to be a lot happier.
Mm-hmm.
And they will be too.
Yep.
And so, okay, obviously for feeding, they need basics.
They need a high quality pig grain that you can get from any farm store. They also absolutely love your scraps from your kitchen.
Slop.
It's
a real thing.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I know you just mentioned the grain, and the grain's good, but if you have access to a lot of scrap food, you don't need to feed them the grain.
No. And our favorite thing, actually our pig's favorite thing to have, milk.
Oh yeah, our cow.
Fed piggies.
Yeah, when our cow Macy was giving us more than we could use,
oh my goodness,
we would dole it out among the chickens and the pigs, and they would just go. They'd stick their snout down, and then they wouldn't come out. Slurp till it was gone.
Yeah, they loved it. They would actually not eat. We would give them milk on a regular basis, and they would not eat the grain because they were waiting for the milk.
That's true.
Smart creatures.
Yeah, exactly. So, in terms of food, you obviously need to make sure they have a constant source of clean water.
Yes.
And also, you can't just be throwing them garbage for food. When I say slop, I'm not talking about here's like nothing but mold covered filth.
No.
You can't do that, because think about this. I mean, you're feeding them that, and eventually you're going to eat it.
Right. And whatever you put into that animal is what you're going to end up eating. So if they're eating all of our kitchen scraps, our gardens, the stuff not wasted, but the stuff left over from the garden that's not really fit for human consumption, but the pigs absolutely love it. All your, if you overgrow your zucchinis that are club size, they're going to go to town on those. They absolutely love that stuff.
Yep. I remember one year we had corn and it got knocked out. Like the corn ears were not very good.
Right.
But we pulled the whole dang thing straight up out of the ground. The whole plant, they ate it all.
Yep. Oh yeah, they loved it.
So just keep in mind, in terms of your food situation, it does not necessarily mean you've got to rush out and buy $10 bags of food all the time.
No.
I mean, there are times when, like, they're little and you want to make sure they get enough nutrients that you're going to want to supplement.
Right.
But if you have access to a large source for not rotten, not disgusting food, do it.
Right. Something else that the pigs absolutely love that we learned from the Don, grass clippings.
I had no idea.
Fresh grass clippings. He would walk around his place with a 5-gallon bucket and just pull grass and put in the bucket.
Like, what are you doing?
Right. Yeah. It's like, what's going on? He would throw it to the pigs. They went crazy. Bonkers. I almost said hog wild.
Kind of works too.
Right.
So then there's that, and just the bottom line is this: they're pigs, so they will eat and tolerate a lot more stuff than other animals will. But just keep in mind, don't give them garbage.
No.
So all right, pigs 101 in terms of we've got our enclosure taken care of.
Yep.
We've got our basic food and water. Let's talk about how big to get your pigs. How big should you grow a pig? Because let's start back. When you get a feeder pig, how big are they?
Generally between 35 and 50 pounds.
50 would be large.
50 would be large. You generally want them about 35 pounds. That way you can still handle them.
Yes, and here's another thing that's a serious concern is if they're boys, have they still got their boys?
Right. If they have not been castrated, make sure that the breeder castrates them before, because it's not a pleasant experience.
Let's just say this. The first time that we had feeder pigs,
Oh my goodness gracious.
a friend of mine he's a corn husking
Big boy.
beast.
Yeah.
He's like, we gotta do these pigs, you gotta do these pigs. And it was like 40 pounds. I'm like, it's just 40 pounds. So what's the big deal? And he goes, you
don't have any idea how strong these things are.
He's like, look it. If somebody were getting ready to do what we're gonna do to this pig to you, would you put up a fight?
Yes.
And I was like, I see your point.
Yes.
And so if you can imagine the scene, I'm not a small guy, and he is not a small guy.
He was bigger than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so my job was to get the pig on his back and hold. I straddled it. I got down on it, and where most of my weight was on this pig, and I had his legs open like this.
Right. And the pig can't turn its head to bite Brad.
Right.
So I mean, it's his head is behind him.
Right.
And Brad's got the back legs.
And I am holding on, and when he started doing the thing, I kid you not, that 40-pound pig, it was everything I could do in my life not to let it go. It was like...
I vividly remember this.
It was a little scary, to be honest.
Yeah.
I thought for sure the pig's going to kick that scalpel and it's going to cut me in the face. But
it was crazy.
The point is, if you don't get them castrated early enough, good luck.
Yeah, you're just gonna just.
Well, and why do you want them to get castrated?
They can. The males can be a little violent.
They'll be a lot violent.
Yeah, they can be violent.
They'll take bites out of the other ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They'll be mean.
Yeah, you want them to be subdued.
Yep. So now. So pig size, that's important because the breed, that's going to be all up to you. Some breeds are leaner, some breeds have a different flavor.
Yeah, there's so many different breeds, and there's actually smaller sized pigs that are great for smaller sized farms. It all depends on what you want for your farm or your homestead.
Right. So you'll have to determine that. Right. But now, in terms of the size of a pig, when it's time to say goodbye, you're going to freezer camp. Sayonara.
You want to wait until they're about 250 to 275 pounds.
But not more.
No. Do not let them get over 300 pounds. It changes the flavor of the meat, and it actually adds a lot of fat onto the pig. We let our pigs go way too long, and there was way too much fat around our pork chops. I mean, I have to trim off an inch of fat around our pork chops, and that... Well, it's just
here's the other thing too. Some people will say, "Oh, well, if you let them get big, then you're going to have bigger pieces of bacon." Well, you will, but it's going to be so super fatty that it's like,
yeah.
And we also did the math on it, and your return on investment in terms of what you have to put into the pig for feed to get it to that bigger weight is not worth the extra weight you're going to get.
No,
especially when you consider how much fat you're going to have to cut off to make it usable meat.
Exactly. It costs you almost as much to get them that extra 100 pounds than it does from 35 pounds to 250.
Yes. And so there's the practical reason of the 250 to 275. But there's also a very other real reason why you don't let them get to 350 or more.
They're easier to handle.
You have no idea. Let's just say that... we let ours get too big, and there were 4 grown adults trying to load 3 pigs with a chute.
Yep.
We had a chute in the pen. Took 2.5 hours. There were multiple times people fell on the ground. When that pig decided it's turning around and going away...
It's not going to stop because you're standing there.
Nope.
It's going to go right through you.
It goes right through you.
Yep.
And that is no lie.
No, and it can be very dangerous, so...
don't let them get too big.
No.
So, okay, let's talk money. In terms of when you go to butcher a pig, every area that you live in is going to be different. If you guys butcher your own meat, then obviously that's not an expense.
Not an issue. Yep.
Not an expense. You got a 25-cent bullet in there, and you're done.
Right.
But for those who maybe want to just take it to a place and have it done for you, those costs are going to vary by area. But talk about what it's like for us.
Okay. For us, there was the initial bullet fee, and then there is the hanging weight cost, and then so that hanging weight cost was about $1.60 a pound, hanging weight, and then they cut it up, and then you have the cost for curing the bacon and the hams. And that was an additional, I can't remember the
And those
additional.
are all a la carte pricing too. You
Right.
can say, I want it like this, or I want it like that.
Right, exactly. And I think it was an additional $1.25 per pound for the curing of the bacon and the hams. So overall, what did we spend?
You would know better than me, baby.
I know, it was so long ago. I want to say we spent like $350, $330.
Yeah, I think that was the number.
To have an entire hog processed and packaged. They would come, it comes back to you packaged.
In a box.
Vacuum sealed. We got the lard. That was all included in there. Because what are they going to do with it?
Right. It was about,
it was about $330 for a 400-pound pig.
So you can pencil that out.
Yeah.
But it's a killer deal.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you've got to figure in your feed cost. If you're just
Right.
if you're just slopping them and you have access to that, well, your cost comes way down.
Yep.
And if not, then you're going to have to figure that into the cost too. Now, another thing, you may have to decide for yourself. We try really hard in terms of medicines, or if there's an ailment with our animals,
Right.
we always go for the natural route first.
Right.
And even second.
Right.
And it's only if there's a persistent problem that we will do the regular pharma style medicines.
Right. Any antibiotics is an absolute necessity. We don't do those willy-nilly.
No way.
The best thing, I learned when we had our pigs back in Ohio, that when you have a pig down, give them vitamin B. That generally picks them right up and gives them that perk of energy, and then they're fine.
And that's cheap.
That is a very inexpensive way to go. I mean, it's a vitamin. It's not a medicine. So.
And that's something you can get right at your regular old farm store.
Yep.
The vitamin B actually it's worked wonders on 3 different animals?
3 different animals. Yep, exactly.
The goat.
Yep, the goat, and we did have a pig that went down, and she just kind of laid there. She wouldn't eat, wouldn't do anything. I gave her 1 shot of that vitamin B. She was up, happy, and fine a few hours later. So
Now, one more thing that you need to consider if you're going to be raising any kind of animal at all for consumption. Do you have the ability to be able to be around that animal, treat it with kindness, treat it with respect, care for it,
right,
and take care of it, and then at the end of it, do what you need to do?
right.
Because some people's personality are not wired that way.
Right. And you cannot go into having a pig thinking, oh yes, I will be able to process this animal at the end of its life and have no problems. If you don't, you're gonna have an 800 pound pig, and that's not going to be a good thing.
That's dangerous.
That's very dangerous.
That's dangerous.
Yeah.
And
unless you're raising it for breeding, then you know what you're doing. So.
But this is really for the beginner. Do I want to get pigs or not?
Right.
So the reality is, if you're not wired to be able to go, you know what, I'm not going to like this situation. I'm raising this animal with respect, care, and vigilance its whole life, and then it's only going to have one bad moment. It's just gone.
Right.
If you can do that, then I would say, all right, well, you need to consider the other stuff. Because the reality is, if it's not food, then it's a pet, right?
Right.
If it ain't food, it's a pet. Do you really want to have
a large pet like that?
Because they're not going to get any smaller.
No. And, when you are on a homestead or a farm, generally your animals are giving you some benefit back.
Right.
You know, chickens give us eggs, our dairy cow gives us milk, our steers give us meat, our pigs give us meat. You know, even chickens, we'll have chickens for meat as well.
Yep.
And so, you know, we will take care of them to, you know, very kind and raise them for whatever benefit they're there for.
Right. So it's kind of a symbiotic thing. They have a happy, full life. And like I said, then just one bad moment.
Right.
So there's there would be the overall, you know, I would call what we just did in this video the intro gate. Mm-hmm. If you watched and go, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that.
Right.
Yeah, this works. Mm-hmm. Then you go to the second step where you're starting to look at breeds and cost.
Right.
Because if you disagreed with like half of what we're saying here, it might not work out for you.
Right.
And trust me, we've made our share of mistakes.
Yeah.
We're good at that.
Yeah. Well.
So anyway, piggies, little piggies, big piggies.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm Brad.
I'm Christa.
You guys have an amazing and blessed day.